Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You know, growing up in Las Vegas, as a child I remember a restaurant called the Alpine Village. It was on the corner of the Landmark, the Hilton, and the Convention Center off of Paradise Road. It was a Bavarian restaurant, and what made it so special was as soon as you would sit down, they'd come out with a relish tray with the most amazing cottage cheese dip I've ever had. They would follow that up with their world famous chicken soup. Amazing, to die for. Well anyways, I found the two recipes. Guess what? We're going to do that next. You know what? So stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Let's get started. We'll do the easy one first, the cottage cheese dip. One 24-ounce can or container of small curd cottage cheese. Put that into a mixing bowl. Then we're going to add our seasonings. And what we need as far as seasonings are a half a teaspoon caraway seed, 1.5 teaspoon sugar, 1 teaspoon accent, a half a teaspoon white pepper, 1 tablespoon dried chives, and a half a teaspoon celery salt. That's it. Mix it all up real good. And once we have it mixed up, we're going to put it into a glass container and pop that in the refrigerator. You want to refrigerate this overnight or minimum 4 to 5, maybe 8 hours to really get the flavors to work together. It's phenomenal. It's worth the wait. So, since we got to wait for the cottage cheese, let's make our relish tray. I've got some carrots here, and we're just going to cut the tips off and cut the backs off. And then we'll get our peeler out. We'll peel the carrots. And then we're just going to cut them up into 4s. Enough that you can use it as a little shovel to scoop up that cottage cheese with the carrot. And while I'm doing this, if I can remind you to please like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment if you can. Hit that bell to stay up to date on newest recipes. And tell a friend. I really appreciate it. So that's about it. We just cut the carrots in 4s. And once we have all of our carrots cut up, we're going to move on to some radishes that I picked up. I've already washed them. And I'm going to cut the tips off of those. And on the real big ones, I'll cut in half. On the smaller ones, we'll just keep those whole. And then we'll put those aside. And then lastly, I've got some celery. And here's a tip for you. If you want celery to last longer in your refrigerator, whatever celery you have left over, wrap it in foil. Don't put it back in a plastic bag. You wrap it in foil, and it'll last in your refrigerator 2 to 3 times longer than in the bag. All right, so we've got all the relish tray, carrots, celery, radishes, all put in the refrigerator, waiting for the dip. Now we're going to work on the soup. I've got 1 small white onion that I'm going to put in my food processor, and I'm going to chop that up as fine as I can get it. We'll put that in a bowl and put that in the refrigerator until we're ready to start putting the entire soup together. This is just the prep work. It calls for 2 to 3 carrots, and again, ground up as much as possible, so we're going to use the food processor. And just chop that up, let the machine do all the work. And we'll put that in a separate bowl as well. Now we're going to need to cook up our chicken. I've got 1 package of ground chicken. And we're going to put the heat on medium. And we're just going to cook this chicken thoroughly and break it up as we cook it. flip it over, break it up, flip it over, break it up. Then once we'll transfer this to a bowl, and we'll use our wooden spoon and try to break it up even more. We don't want clumps of chicken in the soup. The soup is supposed to be pretty creamy, so break it up as much as you can. And we're also going to use a hand blender later on to really break it up and cream the soup. So just use a wooden spoon as much as you can. Alright, I got my Dutch oven out. 2 quarts of good quality water in there. And we're going to put our ingredients in. We're going to need 2 teaspoons celery salt, 2 teaspoons accent, 2 teaspoons regular salt, 1/4 teaspoon black pepper, 1 teaspoon kitchen bouquet, 2 tablespoons chicken bouillon, or I use 1 tablespoon of better than bouillon chicken stock, whatever you have available. And we'll get all that into the water, and then we'll turn the heat on medium. And once we get the water start to move a little bit, we'll add our onions, and then we'll add our carrots, and we'll bring this up to a simmering boil. Now, once we get that boiling good, it's time to add our chicken. And now we're going to break out our hand mixer or blender, and we're just going to let it work its magic and turn all that carrots, onions, chicken, everything into a nice creamy soup. There we go. Now let's work on our roux, because we got to thicken this soup up a little bit. We've got 1/2 cup of butter, which is 1 stick, melting in our saucepan. Then we're going to slowly add 1 cup of flour. We'll add a little bit of flour, get our whisk out, mix it, and do this all under medium heat. Then we'll add more flour, mix it until we get this. And right there, that's what we're looking for. So the flour is nice and cooked, so our soup won't taste like flour, it'll taste like soup. We're going to add that to our soup that's boiling, get our whisk to work, and just keep whisking it until you get all the clumps out and the soup is nice and smooth, and you are done. That soup is ready to serve with your relish tray with the cottage cheese dip, and you are going back in time to the Alpine Village in Las Vegas. Alright, this is a winner. Make it. Carry the tradition with your kids, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.